Hello, 7th graders. And tonight we're going to look at lesson 3-3 on using formulas. In tonight's lesson, there are two main objectives. First, you will be able to substitute into formulas. And secondly, you will be able to use the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle. So let's go ahead and get started. For our warm-up tonight, it says evaluate each expression if x was 3 and y was 4. So again, you're going to replace every x with 3 and every y with 4 in these equations. And I think I want you to go ahead and do these. And when you're all done, come back and check your answer. This would be a good warm-up for you tonight. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so let's check those answers. So first thing you do is replace x with 3 and replace y with 4. All right, then the order of operation comes into play. You multiply before you add. So 2 times 3 is 6. And then I have 2 times 4 is 8. So I have 6 plus 8 is 14. So for 1, you should have had 14. For number 2 here, 2 times 3 plus 4. Well, again, you multiply before you add. So 2 times 3 is 6. And 6 plus 4 is 10. You should have had 10 for number 2. Number 3, we have 2 times the sum, 3 plus 4. You do parentheses first. We have 7. And then we have this 2 times 7. Again, whenever you have a number outside parentheses like that, it means to multiply. So that would be 14. And then number 4 here, we have 3 plus 4 divided by 2. Well, 3 plus 4 is 7, and you divide that by 2. Well, 2 goes into 7 3 times, and then that leaves 1 out of 2 left. So 3½ or 3 5/10. Either one of those answers. All right, so tonight we're going to look at formulas. And first, we define it. A formula is an equation that shows a relationship between quantities that are represented by variables. So in tonight's lesson, we're going to have really 3 formulas that we're using. We're going to talk about the distance formula, the perimeter, and then there's one about birds and chirping. All right, so first we're going to look at this one right here. D is equal to R times T. D stands for distance, and then below it says R is rate, T is time. So again, whenever you're going a distance, so you could talk about driving in a car, the distance and rate, so how fast you're going, 50 miles an hour, 23 miles an hour, and so on. And T in hours, time is in hours, for how long it took you to get there. So again, it is D is equal to rate times time. So we're going to go ahead and do this one. Suppose you ride your bike 18 miles in 3 hours. Use the formula D is equal to R times T to find your average speed. So we know what formula they're having us use, the distance one. D is equal to R times T. Now we need to fill in each piece. We have to decide, what did they give us? Well, I know they gave us 18 miles. You rode your bike 18 miles. So you have to decide, is that the distance, is that the rate, or that the time? Well, if you're talking about going 18 miles, that would be considered D, the distance. All right, and then the next piece they give us is 3 hours. Well, that would be the time, the amount of time it took you. So 18 is equal to R times 3. Well, to get R by itself, you need to divide by 3. We're always trying to get that variable by itself. So 18 divided by 3 is 6. So it took you, well, your rate was 6 miles per hour. Again, we know we were going miles and hours. So for this first one, it is 6 miles per hour. Now I have 2 more here. All right, and you're going to use that same formula. D is equal to R times T, and you need to find the missing piece. So for A, they tell you that D, the distance is 273 miles, and T is 9 7/500 hours. And again, you can pull out a calculator for these ones to help you out with them, especially when they're not whole numbers. All right, so there you're missing R, so you have to find the rate. B, well, they give you the distance is 540 7/500 inches, and rate is 10 5/10 inches per year. So your job is to figure out what the time is. So I want you to go ahead, fill this out, solve for the variable, and then see if you can get the right answer. And when you're all done, come back and check your answers. So go ahead and pause me now. All right, so let's solve this first one. Again, we're dealing with the formula D is equal to R times T, where distance is 273 miles. The rate we don't know, and the time is 9 and 75/100ths of an hour. So again, we need to solve for our variable r. We need to get r all by itself. On the same side, they're multiplying 9 by 9 and 75/100ths, so we're going to divide. So we're left with r is equal to, if you divide that out, 273 by 9 and 75/100ths, you get 28. So here we are going 28 miles per hour. All right, that's what you should have had for A. Now if we do B, same thing. Distance is equal to rate times time, where the distance is 540 and 75/100ths, and the rate is 10 and 5/10ths, and we're timesing by t. Again, we're getting the variable t by itself, so we're going to divide by 10 and 5/10ths because that's what they're multiplying by. And again, you have to do it to both sides to keep the scale even. So if we divide out 540 and 75/100ths divided by 10 and 5/10ths, you will get 51 and 5/10ths. All right, and here we are talking about, let's see, year. And time is a year, so 51 and 5/10ths of a year. All right, so now we're going to substitute into a formula. On number 2 here, this is the one with the crickets. Use the formula F is equal to n divided by 4 plus 37, where n is the number of chirps a cricket makes in a minute, and F is the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. Estimate the temperature if a cricket chirps 76 times in a minute. All right, so this is our formula we're going to use. F, meaning the temperature, is equal to the number of chirps in a minute divided by 4 plus 37. So that's what we need to use. Now, they tell us one thing. They say the cricket chirps 76 times in a minute. So you need to decide, does that 76 go in for N or F? Well, if you take a look here, N is the number of chirps a cricket makes. Here it tells us he did 76 chirps. So you'd replace N with 76, and then you solve. Well, 76 divided by 4, if you divide that out, you're going to get 19. All right, so we have 19 plus 37. So if we add that together, this is going to give us how warm it was in degrees Fahrenheit. Well, 19 plus 37, it was 56 degrees Fahrenheit. That would be your answer. All right, so again, you're going to use that same formula the same way. They're telling you how many chirps, and go ahead and fill it in to estimate the temperature. So go ahead and do that now, and come back and check your answers after. All right, so on this one, we're going to substitute in the value they give us. So here, again, we have F divided by the number of chirps by 4 plus 37. So they tell me the cricket is chirping 96 times in a minute, and we have to solve it. Well, 96 divided by 4, well, 96 divided by 4, 4 goes into 9 twice, and that leaves me with 16, so 24 plus 37, and if you add that together, you get 61 degrees Fahrenheit. And again, when it's a word problem like this, you do need labels. So it is 61 degrees Fahrenheit. So for B, we're going to do the same idea. I'm going to replace N this time with 88 and go from there. Well, again, order of operations. You divide before you add. So 88 divided by 4 is 22 plus 37. Well, that would be 59 degrees Fahrenheit. That would be your answer. All right, and the final piece for the night, so the final formula. We looked at the distance formula, the cricket chirping one, and finally the perimeter. When we talk about the perimeter, that is usually the distance around a figure. We're talking about how long it takes to go around. Now, when we add perimeter, usually you add up every single side. So you do the length plus the length plus the width plus the width. All right, so on this one, I know the length is 18 and 5/10. Well, if that's this length, that's the same. Then the width is 12 and 5/10. And again, you have two of those. And you could add them. Well, that would give me 20, and then 16, 17, 18, 19, 22. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I get 62 feet. That would be my perimeter. Or, here's another way. Because there are two lengths here, you can take the length and times it by 2. So 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Because again, there are 2, so you multiply each one by 2. And that'll give us the perimeter. So if I were to do it this way, 2 times the length, well, the length is 18 and 5/10 feet. And then 2 times the width, which is 12 and 5/10 feet. And you multiply it. 2 times 18.5, well, 2 times 5 is 10. So that would be 37 feet. And I'm going to move this box out of the way. Then we have plus 2 times 12 and 5/10. Well, that would be 25 feet if you multiply that out. And if you add these together now, 37 plus 25, we get 12, 62. So we get 62 feet. So again, no matter how you do it, you get the same answer. So you could add each piece, do the length plus the length plus the width plus the width, or 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. This formula I just circled. So here we go. On this one, find the perimeter of a rectangular tabletop with a length of 14 and 5/10 inches and a width of 8 and 5/10 inches. Use the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle. P is equal to 2 times L plus 2 times W. Again, where L means the length, W means the width. I don't know about you, but I like pictures. I like to actually see my rectangular tabletop. I know the length is 14 and 5/10 inches. I know the width is 8 and 5/10 inches. That's going to help me out. I like to see it. And on this one, they ask us to use the formula. So we're going to use this. Perimeter is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. And what I would like you to do is actually go through the steps now. So replace the L with the length and replace the W with the width, and then go ahead and solve those. And when you're all done, come back and check out your answer. So go ahead and pause me now. All right, so let's find the perimeter of this tabletop. I know my length is 14 and 5/10 inches, and I know my width is 8 and 5/10 inches. So if I multiply that out, well, 2 times 14 and 5/10 is 29, and then 2 times 8 and 5/10 is 17. So if I add those together now, I get 29 plus 17, I get 46 inches. That is my total perimeter. And again, you could add it all together. You could do 14.5 plus 14.5 plus 8 and 5/10 plus 8 and 5/10 and add it, and you should get the same answer. So 1626, 2, 3, 4, 46. And again, we got the same answer either way. All right, and final one for the night, and then we're going to call this lesson good. Go ahead and find the perimeter of this rectangle, however you want. You can use the perimeter formula, or you can just add around the distance. It's entirely up to you. So go ahead and solve this, and when you're all done, come back and check your answer. Go ahead and pause me. All right, so let's see what the perimeter of this rectangle is. I'm going to choose to use the formula method, so 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Well, my length here is 17 and 4/10 inches. My width here is 8 and 6/10 inches. So if I were to multiply this out, 2 times 17 and 4/10 would be 34 and 8/10 inches. All right, because I know 2 times 17 is 34, and then, well, 2 times 4 is 8/10. All right, then I have the same here. Well, 2 times 8 and 6/10 would be 17.2, I believe, because 2 times 6 is 12, 8 times 2 is 16, add 1, and 8, yep, 17. Now I add those together, so 34 and 8/10 plus 17 and 2/10, and again, I line up those decimal points, and I get 52. So my perimeter here is 52 inches. All right. So that is your lesson for tonight. Tonight we looked at how to use those 3 different formulas. I hope you have a good night because tomorrow in math we are going to do a lesson on formulas or the assignment. Have a good night.